The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Acuma, its board of directors, its management staff, or its members. The podcast discussion presented is conversational in nature and for general information only.
This is Acuma's On Point Podcast. On today's episode, we're sitting down with a former MMA fighter. A man for over a decade has dedicated his life to improving the quality of life and home ownership for almost 1,800 people. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get ready to rumble. Before we get to our episode, just a quick word from our sponsor.
Exactus is a leading fintech committed to the continued transformation of the mortgage verification industry, pioneering a new class of technology, intelligent verification. Exactus is redefining how the industry originates and services mortgages. With Exactus 360, our industry-first intelligent verification platform SM, we put the full power of the market's leading verification partner into a user-centric technology that harnesses real-time insights to power automated actions, enabling clients to make faster, better decisions with the right data at the right time. Exactus is an Acuma services provider for credit reporting, verifications, and flood determinations. Exactus also provides Acuma members unique pricing benefits for flood services, valuation technology and appraisal orders, loan-level quality control solutions, and Exactus data solutions. By combining data at scale, advanced AI technology, and our deep domain expertise, Exactus is committed to partnering with mortgage lenders and servicers to lead the industry into the future as, together, we advance the modern verification. Our team of experts at Exactus is here for you, the members of Acuma, to consult on your verification workflow and being provider agnostic, here to offer custom solutions to accommodate your strategic goals.
Hello, and welcome to Acuma's On Point Podcast, a series focused on sharing the stories of people who are making a positive impact in the credit union mortgage industry. I'm your host, Peter Benjamin. Today, I am joined by Justin Wren, founder and CEO of Fight for the Forgotten. Justin, long time no see. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing really great. I just loved being with y'all and just all your people. This has been really great. It's a good season of life, with New Year's recently happening. My wife looked at me and said that she's in the best place she's ever been in life. And I go, I'm in the best place I've ever been in life. And then it's like, that's great energy to take into 2026. And so y'all contributed to that. Benefiting my life by being able to come share my keynote. And it was one of the most inspiring groups of people I've been around. And I think it's because y'all have a deep sense of understanding that what you do matters and it makes a difference and you're helping people. And so we vibed a lot in that. So thank you.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you saying that. The kind words truly do mean a lot. Now, we asked, for you to come on this podcast because, I really want to pick your brain on something that I think is near and dear to your heart. And that's, the quality of life, that it's the importance of home ownership. You've been to our conference and you saw, it was just stacked with people that were passionate, credit union leaders that were passionate about, home ownership, mortgage lending, their communities, and I think that it really resonated and really has this amazing symmetry to your keynote. So I want to have that conversation with you today about, just home ownership and what we can do to improve and support our communities. Now, but before we do that, before we get to our main conversation, I always pause, I always take a side step, and I bring the other Justin into the conversation to kind of give us an update on Acuma. Now, Hawk, what is going on? And please tell us, what is the latest greatest happening over at Acuma?
Peter, we're underway. We're already rocking and rolling. You already
I
know
mean,
that.
we honestly, I feel like so we took the holidays off, right? We had that last week off, and it was needed. I honestly feel like we came back, and it wasn't a slow. Let's start easing ourselves back into things. It's been full on sprint ever since we came back.
Yeah, I know. You can hear the excitement in my voice.
No,
I'm
I'm already exhausted.
It's
already exhausted.
It's been a whirlwind for sure, but I mean, we love what we do, so there's some solace in that.
Facts. All right. So what's
All right, so
what's happening?
Well, registration has officially opened for our 3 Viewpoint Regional Summits. So, unlike years past, instead of us holding just one regional summit, we're going to have 3 of them this year. So, we're going to be in Dallas, Texas, March 24, 25, St. Louis, Missouri from April 14 and 15, and Baltimore, Maryland from April 28 to 29. But what we are doing is we're going to keep the same flow like we did last year. We're going to keep that experience going. So we're going to bring the experiential portion to these events again this year. So I'm going to try to do this the best that I can. But if you're looking for a good old fashioned honky tonk and a bull riding show, then come see us. Or maybe a brewery experience is more up your alley. And if that's not good enough, then we have another brewery experience for you as well. So yeah, we have a lot planned. Don't worry though, if you're looking for our focal point workshops, those are just on the horizon as well. So registration is going to open for those early February. This year, our workshop will be held in San Diego, California from May 12th and 13th. And beyond our in-person events, we have our webinars that are happening monthly, and our quarterly meetings are already rolling for the year. Up next, we have our YPN and our volume-based meetings happening in February. So be sure to check out the Acumen website for all the latest happenings. Aside from all of these virtual and in-person events, we have our favorite and longtime favorite On Point podcast happening monthly as well.
Okay, awesome. A lot of stuff happening. All right. So excited for this year. Thank you very much, as always, Hawk, for the update. All right. So turning back to the special guest, Justin Wren, that is. All right. So I mentioned this prior to the call, and before we really get into our conversation, I really want to ask you 2 simple questions, because I think that's important. I like setting the stage for the conversation and letting people get to know you. And so, as I mentioned, the On Point podcast, it's a people piece. We want to spotlight the amazing people in the credit union industry that really focus on the relationship, their communities, and really helping others. And so I always start our conversation with the same question, and I always end it with the same question. And so the first question I'm always going to ask is, who is Justin Wren? And for those unfortunate souls who did not make it to our annual conference this past year, that didn't get a chance to hear your story, do me a favor. Quickly share that story with them real quick. And then when you're done, we'll jump into our conversation.
Yeah, I would say that I'm just a dude that went from fighting against people to fighting for people. And I want to put love and compassion and action in meaningful ways to the people that are around me. But I had an adventure that took me to the Congo and then Uganda. And I lived there, boots on the ground, more than 3 years, drilling water wells, helping build improved homes and get land rights. But growing up was tough. I grew up getting very heavily bullied, and that's why I found the sport of mixed martial arts and became a UFC fighter. I guess I'll give some highlights and lowlights really fast. Some highlights was I was a 10-time state champion, a 5-time All-American, a 2-time national champion. I was the youngest professional heavyweight at 19 years old. I was on the Ultimate Fighter TV show at 21 years old. And then I've written a book with Simon & Schuster. I've been on some bigger shows and podcasts and things like that. And I'm the founder of a nonprofit, CEO of that, and I wouldn't change a thing. Although the lowlights are that I went through depression, addiction, went to treatment not just once but twice for substance use disorder, especially Oxycontin. Had a surgery when I broke my arm, and that almost took my life. I attempted to take my life, not just once but twice. And I had to go at those treatment centers, really learn the deep work on myself. There's no outrunning it. There's no escaping it unless you do the deep work and have that reality check, and also the help and support of professionals, of loved ones. But at the end of the day, no one else can help you when it comes to that addiction part if you don't want to help yourself. And so I really had to learn a lot about myself and grow through it and heal from it. And the healing is a continued process. But I think a real key and unlock for me that I think is available to us all is just discovering that purpose through service. And so my keynote, it starts with overcoming adversity, and then that discovering purpose through service, and then how we all make an impact in the world around us. For me, that discovering purpose through service was really a key or an unlock in my life, because yes, it helped me get outside myself, but I think everyone at the end of the day wants to know that our life matters and that we're making a contribution to people around us, right? And so that for me has been the greatest gift, is as I give to others, it gives to me like a sense of purpose and passion and fulfillment. And the more that I don't just think about contributing to my own life, but to others, the whole world around me seems a little bit better, a little bit brighter. It's been something that I got a second family given to me, adopted into a tribe of hunter-gatherers that are some of the most amazing, wonderful, loving, kind people who have taught me so much. But through the work of Life with God, we've seen more than 1,800 people transition out of a life of actual modern-day slavery and into a life of freedom. We have helped over 80,000 people get access to clean water. When we talk about home ownership, we're helping 60 new families, actually more than 60, get access to a home for the first time in their lives, because they were evicted from the rainforest. They were just living really in desperate circumstances. But now we have an engineering team and architects and builders that are coming alongside them to where they have their hands on the bricks, hands on the tools, and that they're what husband doesn't want to help, husband, mother, father doesn't want to help build their own home, right? And make it something nice and safe and warm inside for their children. And so it's pretty exciting. Last month we opened a hospital, and the grand opening of that with the community center and the vocational training hub, we're putting 60 new people to work there, learning carpentry, welding, beekeeping, tailoring, and hairdressing. And so it's just been something far beyond. I thought we'd just start with water, but now it's a whole community development model where we start with land, then we get to clean water, then we start food or farming practices, then we do improved structures or build homes. Then from there, we get into healthcare, education, and now sustainable livelihoods. It's just putting one step in, one foot in front of the other, and then seeing the things that can happen are pretty wild if you're just intentional about it. Now it's taken more than a decade. 2011 was my first trip there. Spent more than 3 years living there, go back multiple times a year, but having to lead a team virtually or internationally. And it's just grown, and it's been a beautiful thing to be part of.
It's such an amazing story. And, one thing I loved about your keynote is how vulnerable you were in talking about, addiction and suicide, but also more importantly, not so much more importantly, that's probably the wrong thing to say, but, not all too often people really talk about, their lives and being bullied and really being bullied can shape you in so many different directions. Right. It was just such an amazing, powerful, keynote. Now, one of the things I really want to focus on is, the home ownership. Yeah, you talked about education. Yes, you talked about, improving their quality of life. And you're branching out from, yes, not just water to, beekeeping, but it's the home ownership thing that is so important. And here's why. Like you've helped almost 1,800 people, and I'm just gonna say 1,800 people, right? I've been in the mortgage industry, 24, 25 years. If I was to originate or give someone a loan, a mortgage loan, if I was to do 5 people a month, which by the way, if I did 5 loans a month, I'd be considered above average. If I did 5 loans a month, knowing that I've been in the industry, we'll say 25 years, I would still have a year to go before I even came close to matching you on that 1,800 families put into homes or helped or something like that. So if you think about it, 26 years, you could be in the mortgage industry and not have the impact that you have made on so many families that are in such need for this type of life altering change. And so I'm going to bring it back to our conversation and bring it back to the topic at hand. Again, when you look at the United States, right, we have, I don't want to say we have a housing shortage, but, it's inventory is just not where it really should be or could be. The cost to afford a home is becoming more and more expensive across the board, right? And it's fewer and fewer people are making that conscious decision to own a home because of those things, inventory, cost, access, even, right? And so I say all that because, home ownership is such a fundamental, important thing to survival, right? If you think about, if you were lost in the woods or you were, on a deserted island, one of the first things you do, I'm not saying, is you look for shelter and water, right? Those are the first 2 things that you do when you're stranded or you're going out to survive. So home ownership and shelter is such an important and fundamental thing to who we are as human beings. It goes back to all our time as nomads. But yet we struggle with it as a country, as a society, to get people in homes, right? For people to just have that opportunity to own a home or, be part of that experience, right? You can even factor in homelessness, right? So here's the question. So from your point and your experience, helping all those families, and if you were to look at, the United States and our country and the various communities that you live in, that you've been to, what can we do as a society or as really credit unions to really help support homeownership greater than we already are?
Well, be honest, yeah, I'm no expert on it, but I have some experience with helping people get into their homes, which in our context is very humble homes. But some they consider kind of like mansions in comparison to what they've known, right? I would say that what I've learned is don't count people out. Meaning, I mean, I know we have to have data and we have to have trust and there's credit and all things, but sometimes when we look beyond the data and we look at the human being, people will surprise you. Sometimes in the negative way, for sure. And we got to minimize that risk in ways that we can. But I will tell you that I've been way more surprised by people's eagerness to build a better life for themselves and their families than I've been disappointed. I've been surprised and seen people progress in ways I didn't know was necessarily possible due to their circumstances. Whenever I talk about at least the context of Africa and the pygmy people, nomads that were hunter gatherers, given the opportunity, so we try to say we don't do a hand out, we do a hand up. Like we will match your energy, seeing you building a better future for yourself. We'll connect you with the resources. And it's almost like lending. We'll lend you a hand when we see you helping yourself in ways. And we have these very honest, transparent conversations with them. And so if they're going to be part of building their own house, we'll see if we provide a builder that's an expert, and if we provide the tools, like what can you do first? Can you clear the land? Can you go get the sand? We will help you clean the sand, but can you go get the sand that we're going to need for the concrete and the bags of cement that we're going to mix with? And whenever they start putting in that effort and that action and that sweat equity, then we come in and the support that give, not give and take, but give and give. Whenever we do this give and give thing, we keep matching that energy, and they raise the bar on us because they're ready to have these things that they've never had before. And so I don't know that I'm necessarily answering your question about this context and our culture in this country, but I would say on a human level, man, people being given opportunities that they might not have if they truly understand that opportunity first, right? And I know that, if you give a kid a car at 16, they might not take as good care of it as if they really worked and put the down payment down, or pay for their insurance, put the gas in the car, or the other things. But it's the same kind of principle, right? Like, hey, what is your buy-in? What is your contribution for us contributing this help and support in ways that they don't have access to? And so I would go also back before the home ownership. In Africa, there's a saying, and it's I hear all the time in Uganda. I also hear in Congo, and they say, if you don't own land, you own nothing. And so that's the African kind of proverb, is if you don't own land, you own nothing. And so for them, we couldn't drill a water well until they owned the land, because if we just drilled a well and the land was up for grabs or it belonged to somebody else, then it wasn't going to benefit the greater community. So we've helped them get back over 3,000 acres of land, but on that land, there's over 108 water wells, and they're different plots and they're different places. And but on the land also, once you have land and water, then we can get to the shelter, right? And then also on the land, we can start the farms. But it's been shocking to see people really not shocking, it's been gratifying to see people understand it's innate, it's human nature. Yes, there's people that are looking for handouts, but almost always that's whenever they don't have another, at least the people I know, that's whenever they don't have another option. They'll take the handout, but they want the hand up. And so maybe to simplify it, if we could look at people on the human level, it's really believe that sometimes we can give them our belief, and just through conversations. And whenever their belief goes up a couple notches, then that's whenever they start to build this kind of positive momentum starting to spin in their life, and they see a little progress, all of a sudden they'll take it and run with it.
I love a lot of the things you said, but two things that really jumped out. The first, that African proverb that you mentioned, that if you don't own land, you don't own nothing, right? Like that, it reminds me of a very similar quote that Snoop Dogg once said. Snoop Dogg, actually, I'm going to quote him. Snoop Dogg said, "Real estate's the most important thing in the world. Wow. If you don't own land, you don't own nothing." Wow. And who doesn't love Snoop Dogg?
Yeah.
But anyways, so I couldn't agree more. But I think one of the things that I really smiled about when you were just answering my question, that human factor, right? If you think about it, our industry, the mortgage industry, lost sight of the human factor a long time ago, for good and bad reasons, right?
Right.
Bad reasons, greed, right? Good reasons are, we had to stabilize our economy, right? So we had to tighten up underwriting guidelines, right? Not necessarily a good reason, but it's a reason all the same as to why we lost sight of that human factor. And, because of those underwriting guidelines are so tight, we forget, hey, this person, by helping this person, we're putting them into a better place, right? By helping this single mother of 5 get into this house, we're providing, her family with shelter, getting them out of a terrible situation and put them into a better one. Like, we're forgetting those stories. We're forgetting that impact because, it's the nature of the beast, the nature of the things that have happened in our history, the great financial crisis or the great recession, whatever you want to call it. We still haven't really recovered from that. We haven't really regained that insight into people helping people, right? And that's interesting because I'm going down this rabbit hole all of a sudden. People helping people is literally the credit union creed, right? Every credit union, it's almost like when you go to a credit union event, it's almost like it's like, the Illuminati chanting people helping people. It's kind of like that when you come to a credit union event. But, for me, what I find interesting about, the idea of humanizing and the sweat equity, and ensuring that we are understanding who this person is, what they're willing to put into this transaction, because their life depends on it, right? In many ways, not to be so serious, but their life depends on it. One of the rumors that credit unions often have to overcome, and it's not a rumor, and it's a perception, it's a negative perception that credit unions have to overcome, is that credit unions are too strict in their guidelines, right? That the credit unions are just conservative, right? Well, that right there speaks to everything you just said, right? If we're too conservative, we're too strict, and we have that perception, we're not going to get that person. And they hear that, if you have a person and they hear that rumor, they hear that they have that perception, they're not going to come to us, right? They're not going to come to a credit union. The credit unions are community-based lenders. I personally believe the last great community-based lender. So if someone has that negative perception of a credit union that, oh, they're too strict, they're not going to help me, right? Then we're not fulfilling our mission, right? We're not succeeding in supporting our communities of people, and we're not simply people helping people. So I love everything you just said, because I think that right there is what credit unions are.
Well, I think on it, just if it's okay to chime in.
Please do it. This is you.
I think the people helping people, but I think what also allows that human connection is first the person at the credit union. Like, yes, this is your job, but allow yourself to be seen as a person too, right? Not just as the lender, not just as the am I going to give you this or not? And because you can help, I think one of the things that's been a great strength of ours as Fight for the Forgotten is really being able to bring down the walls by building this trust, by having these conversations, by them being able to see us as not that different. Right? When I walk into a village, a community in very rural, very remote places in the rainforest that there are no roads, like, I'm very different. Like, my first nickname was the vanilla gorilla, the albino rhino. One place had never, ever seen someone with white skin before. They had heard basically rumors or legends as as light-skinned people, but they ran. They hid behind trees. they sent someone out to touch my arm because they didn't know if I was like a ghost or half man, half lion is what they said at first. And so very, very different, right? And we had to find a way to connect, to build trust. And that was like allowing, like just showing that, hey, I'm not that different. We have more in common than we do differences, and having these conversations, having laughs, breaking bread, having meals together, them showing me how to build the homes just like they traditionally lived in, which was literally twigs that you could bend into a dome, and putting leaves on it, and weaving these leaves. So me breaking down these barriers or walls, and them too, like meeting in the middle, being able to see like, we're just people. We're at the end of the day, we're just people. And so people helping people, but allow yourself to be seen as that person too, that is there to help. Right. And so, and you might not be able to help that person right in front of you, and you might know it, but don't miss out on that human connection before, during, and afterwards. Because whenever that person is in the place and in the position, you want them to be able to come back to you first. You know, hey, we're not able to help this time, but keep us in mind and let me know how I can help in other ways. And I'm just the dude that's trying to help people, like people helping people. That's who we want you to see us as. And whenever, it might be a few years down the road, but whenever you can help them, you want that person coming back to you. That you, when they're in that position, you're in that position. Sometimes it's a timing thing, right? Not every community we go into, we can help in all the ways, but we can help them in some way. And so we try not to miss out on those opportunities to do the little bit of good that we can.
No, that's awesome. Hawk, you leaned in.
Oh, I mean, I love this conversation. I mean, like, I think to your point, Justin, one of the things that makes that credit union movement, that credit union mindset so special is that these are people who kind of have that saying, like, I'm a person too, right? I mean, and that's a really good point to bring into the conversation because I think from the day I stepped into a credit union, that I don't think you can turn without someone, reminding you of what we, why we exist, why credit unions exist, why the movement exists. And just, hearing that message for the credit union transcends globally like that. That's just an amazing thing.
No, it is, and we keep talking about people helping people, and maybe we can solve this housing issue with that simple idea of people helping people, right? But I'm a firm believer in think of me what you will, but I'm a firm believer that perception is 9/10 of the law, right? And so until we change that perception, we're never going to move this needle forward, right? And so as an industry, as credit unions, we can beat this people helping people drum all we want, right? But until it actually rings true, we are not fulfilling our fiduciary responsibility to support the communities we serve. We're just not. Yeah, we may do mortgages, but not enough. I mean, what just Hawk? There's like 3,500 credit unions that are in existence in the United States, and only about 1,500 of them originate mortgages, which means 2,000 of them are not fulfilling that fiduciary responsibility. That was really in the one of the main reasons why credit unions were established in 1935, right? Support communities, support homeownership at a fair price, realistic terms, etc. So it's interesting in how we were stuck with this perception, right? Because we hear it. Justin, Hawk, you've come with me to other industry events that are not just solely credit unions. And correct me if I'm wrong, you've heard it, but like oftentimes credit unions are really almost laughed upon, right?
They're the forgotten child.
The forgotten child. I mean, I literally I was at a meeting I was at a conference and I was having a meeting with somebody, and because they knew I was with the credit union, they were talking down to me like they were smarter and more important and knew mortgages more than I do. And I just sat there and took it and just thought to myself, that was just a wasted meeting. Like, I'll, I was like, let me show you why credit unions are so important. But two, I think that goes back to the obsession. Credit unions don't know what they're doing. So, Justin Wren, as we think about, perception and it kind of being that 9/10 of the law idea, if the moral of the story is, in order for credit unions, in order for us to really improve home ownership, we have to go back to the fundamental idea of people helping people, and it has to be adopted by everyone across the board. How do we overcome that perception, in your opinion?
Well, I think so. I'll go back to that thing I said. It sounds ooey gooey, mushy gushy, but at the end of the day, I just want to be a dude that puts love and compassion in action. And so, something I have to be aware of is, as a keynote speaker, is am I just talking about it, or is the action piece in there? And not just in there, but like the most, and actually doing it. And so, I mean, not saying y'all aren't actually doing it, because you are, but I better be taking action a lot more than I'm talking about it. And so, for me at least, the perception comes by doing things like this last trip. There were district health officials, district officials of the local government. The district means state there in Uganda. And it's even got all the way up to, let's say, at least the president's cabinet and family members. And it's because things are being done that, this is my first time since 2011 that I ever got a presidential escort to the airport, right? And just got let right in. And it's not because of any status part. Like, most of the people didn't even know I was a former fighter and stuff like that. What they knew is we're doing stuff that other big organizations have made promises and never kept. And we're actually doing it. And we're doing it for their most vulnerable population, the people that they've made. Even the government admitted that we've made promises of doing this and we couldn't do it and we didn't know how. And y'all just stuck with it, and you keep coming and you're consistent. And this commitment, like, where'd this commitment come from? And so, like, whenever I met someone in the family of the president there, they're like, how come you've never come and met the president? And I'm like, well, I mean, that could be helpful, but honestly, like, we're here to serve the people, and so I'm with the people. And not like tooting my own horn or patting myself on the back. They're like, well, we could have stepped in and intervened much sooner, or been helpful in whatever way we could. And I was like, well, we wanted to show you we were the real deal, that we're not just coming here to take pictures and go raise money. Like, in fact, we probably raise a whole lot less money than we probably could, because we're just so focused on the projects, the programming, which ultimately at the end of the day is the people. And so the last few trips, like, all of a sudden all the light bulbs are coming on and attention's coming onto what we're doing. And they're asking us, can you go here? Can you go there? And so there's 5 new communities for us to enter with the whole community development initiative or program. The reason I bring that up is I just think that if you're consistent and you really take the action and you're really helping people, like, word gets out on that. And so it's, y'all are doing it, but I think the more you can humanize it and get these stories and be able to, and it's not about the stories, but share the success stories, and then really, first and foremost, do your mission and not just talk about it, be about it. And I know from meeting the people at Acuma, sorry, that they
Acuma.
are Acuma. It was a really, really special group of people. And I would also go to your comment about that guy that was maybe even speaking down to you. The thing that I've learned from that is, man, the lesson I learned from all the bullying I got growing up, and And even now, there's times people are like, "Oh, you had this and you left that, and now you don't have as much." And I've been talked down to even by family members. Family members say, "Oh, now you're not the fighter. You're just this more poor humanitarian guy. Like, what's that got you?" type thing. I'm like, "What?" Like, what it's done is shown me how to treat people, and it's given me a more compassionate heart, and it's made me have this curiosity of how can I help in the most meaningful, deepest way possible that impacts people who, I don't care if I get acknowledgement from the people that don't get it. Like, what lights me up more is seeing someone step into their home for the first time and they see this raised bed on this wood that the carpenters that learned carpentry from us hand built, and them say, "I've never seen a bed before. I've never sat in a bed before. I've never laid in a bed before." And a grandmother, I'm thinking of Dingoro, she's in her 70s, and I got to see her open the door. It was this like grand opening of her home, and it has a mosquito net on the bed, and her laying down on it for the first time. And that face of her having the smile, the joy, her feeling a pillow and putting her head on it, like that for me is what it's all about, not about this person that doesn't get it, right? And so it's been so much more like, I don't know, just it's opened my horizons and to like what this life at the end of the day, I'm not going to be thinking about the fame and the material stuff, except for what I was able to help provide to other people, and in the experiences of life, the memories, like those are the things. Not that I don't want any woulda, coulda, shouldas in my life, and I don't think I'm gonna have a woulda, coulda, shoulda taken another fight, been in front of all these crowds or whatever, and gotten my hand raised another time or two. It's like, how can we get these next 60 people into homes, and then the next 60 or the next 100 or the next 10 or the next one? Honestly, the next one is more important. Like seeing another grandmother getting into a home and sitting down with her grandbabies on her couch and showing off her bed to like these 4 and 5 year olds, that they're going to be able to step into their homes too. Like that to me is at least for me personally, that's what it's all about. And yeah, it's been really, really fun to be part of. It's a life I don't think I could have planned for myself, but since it was a gift given, it's like I want to make the most of that gift.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. Truly, truly, truly awesome. Now, I think that the moral and the takeaway from what you just said is, yes, people helping people, but actions speak louder than words, right? To kind of summarize everything. Now, I would love to continue this conversation, but we are really pushing time, and so we need to start transitioning. But I'm going to ask you that last question I ask everybody, and the last question is, what keeps you going? What keeps you driving forward? What keeps you motivated day in, day out, and not give up? Please share.
Yeah, I was a fighter, and I think in many times in my life I needed a fight to get up in the morning. Something, I needed a battle, I needed a struggle, something. But through the healing process, I realized like loved people love people. I mean, like, yeah, hurt people, but loved people love people, or healed people help others heal. And being on this healing journey, it's the relationships in my life. It's our team members that depend on me raising the money so that they can have their jobs, that they can help the community I love first and foremost. It's getting on stage and being able to hopefully impart some of my life experience that will benefit someone else's life and their experience. Just at the end of the day, we're all trying to just do our best. And so if I can do one thing today that benefits the life of another human being, that that gives me so much joy and fulfillment and purpose. And so when I wake up in the morning, I'm grateful. I try to say that I'm grateful for the breath in my lungs. I'm grateful for the beating heart in my chest. And then as I shower and get up and get the cement off my eyes, I'm like, I have my head on a swivel. Normally, I have my head on a swivel looking for someone today that I can help. And oftentimes it's overseas, but sometimes it's the person right in front of me at the restaurant that's my server. Other times it's a kid that's been bullied that someone reaches out. Other times it's playing Santa Claus at the children's hospital. We just had that. And so it's there's opportunities all around us. And I just try to increase my awareness of seeing those opportunities and not letting them slip by and being in the car later and thinking, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that. And it's not always about that. Like, it's taking care of me too. It's taking care of my wife. I'm in a new marriage, and it's been awesome. And so part of getting this, no one can see this, I don't think, but I'm on this tour bus right now. And it's so, if I'm doing 50 events a year, maybe 5 or 10 of them, we can make a trip out of it and stay in our own bed and connect with one another. And that's what we did over New Year's. And it was really special. So trying to find those special moments to make life a little better, a little brighter for somebody else, or for us, or for her, my wife, or for our girls, her 2 daughters, her biological daughters, but I'm now a bonus dad, and it's been a lot of fun. So
that's awesome. That is awesome. And you're right. This is only an audio podcast, but if they could see your tour bus, it is awesome. Anyways, so Justin, we're going to start transition to the second segment of our podcast. Now, this is where we sometimes, play Jeopardy or share some dad jokes. But we're going to try a new game, and the new game is called Wrong Answers Only. So bear with me 1 second while I bring my wrong answers only board screen into the screen. Now, as always, people can't see this, so I'll quickly explain it and explain how we're going to go about and play Wrong Answers Only. So the two Justins, it's going to be Justin Hawk versus Justin Wren. You are each going to have 1 minute to answer as many questions as you possibly can, respond to as many statements as you possibly can. Okay. The goal of your response is obviously to provide a wrong answer only. Now, as you can see down at the bottom, we have two buttons, not wrong or wrong. Okay. So not wrong would be something like you answer the question correctly, right? So, for example, what is a country in Europe that starts with F, right? And let's say you just instinctively think, well, this is trivia. I'm going to respond back with France, right? Well, that's obviously a wrong answer. So I'm going to say not wrong. In theory, you should have said Spain, right? Wrong answers only. So you guys get it? The funnier the response, the more likely it's going to be a wrong. So I got control of the right and wrong. Yes, I'm judge and jury. So let's just have some fun with this. Justin Wren, you get to go first. You have a minute. You ready?
yes.
All right, let's start the clock. I'll read the statement. You just respond. Here we go. How many are in a pair?
4.
4. Point to your nose. So for those that didn't see, he pointed to his ear. In which country would you find Burj Al Arab or Arab?
Congo.
The Congo? I have no idea if that's right.
It's wrong.
That's wrong. All right. What currency is used in England?
Shillings.
Shillings? Oh, I can't.
That's Ugandan shillings. So
sorry, Justin. I'm gonna give you not wrong for that. Name a tropical fruit.
A ribeye.
Ribeye. What color is a winner's medal?
Silver.
Silver. I mean, if you're not first, you're last.
Yep.
In which country would you find Sydney Opera House? Oh, out of time. You scored 4. You scored a lot more than that. I don't understand how the scoring came about, but it says you scored 4. I marked that you were right a lot, so I don't know what that means, what the 4 means. But as of right now, you have a 4. All right, Hawk.
Uh-huh.
You ready to go?
Yep, let's go.
All right, here we go. Starting the clock. 1 minute. Name a day of the week beginning with S.
Thursday.
What does an optician look after?
Teeth.
Teeth. What is the capital of Spain?
Washington, D.C.
Yes, it is. Name a 3-sided shape.
Square, of course.
Of course, man. Of course. What sport is Usain Bolt famous for?
Swimming.
Wasn't he a linebacker?
He was a linebacker. Sorry, Justin. That wasn't Hawk. That wasn't that good of an answer. Which month of the year starts with A?
March.
Name a brass instrument.
Guitar.
Clarinet.
I think
See, that
guitars
would've
can
been a
be
good
brass,
one.
actually. Or it's a metal guitar or whatever. What comes after March?
Ooh, see, January.
So apparently you
You
scored
got
a
it.
5. Apparently you
You
scored
got
would
me.
have marked me wrong
Hawk's the champ.
for anything from April to December on that one. I already know that. What comes after March? October. No, that's wrong.
I would have. I 100% would have. All right. Well,
I know.
Justin Wren, that wraps up this episode's version of Wrong Answers Only. Thank you very much for playing with us.
Yeah.
Justin, I truly do appreciate you taking time out of your hectic schedule. You're a man who's not only all over the country or all over the world. So again, we are humbled that we could find time to really get you on here. I mean, you were amazing at our annual conference. You were amazing for this episode. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for having me. It's a special group of your members and your people. So I hope they keep coming back because just one of the things I said was a Swahili proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So really simply put, like, we really are better together. And I think it's going to be a team effort. It's going to be the association and your members and your community that makes all the difference in our country that we need. So I was happy to support y'all. So thank you.
Okay. Love it. Hawk, thank you very much.
Of course, it was my pleasure.
And to close out, thank you again to Zactus for sponsoring today's episode. And to all of you, we know your time is valuable. Thank you for tuning into the latest episode of Acuma's On Point podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, be well, my friend.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time at the Acuma On Point podcast. If not already, be sure to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. For more great episodes and information, be sure to visit us online at acuma.org. And to get the latest updates, head over to our LinkedIn page.